That's not supposed to be the one people are looking at. There we go. Hi, anyone who's watching. If you're watching this, hi, hello, how are you? I am just, let me start over again. So, no, you can skip to the time stamp in the play bar to go to the actual, point of the video, which is going through Solas' regrets. But otherwise, we're just going to be, chatting for a bit, waiting for people to come in, and then we're going to do that. And that's why if you are watching this and you hear me talking to some like disembodied people, that's because. So yeah, seems I'm live, which is cool, neat even. Let me do the YouTuber things and tell people that I'm alive and live. I'm two things at once. Who knew? Who knew? Hello, Close Down Channel. How are you? I hope you're doing well. So I finally was able to do the whole Sodas Regrets things. But on my newer character, which is very funny to me because I'm like, oh gosh, I was finally able to do it, but only on a new character, you know? Let me see if I can get it set up quickly.
Our people need.
Our people. Okay. We good? Yeah, I'm good. How about you? No, I'm pretty good, I was finally able to play a bit more Veilguard. I was a bit busy for a while. So if you hear any dogs barking, I'll quickly mute the thing for a bit. Live dog reaction, that is true. Also, hi Zoltan, hope you're doing well. Okay, so that should be good arena. Hey, there it is. There it is. Well, we'll get to that later, after people have, come in. Okay. Cool. But yeah, I wasn't able to play Veilguard for a while because I had to do some stuff, but now I was able to do it, and I'm happy about it. It's pretty good. That's great, Zoltan. I'm happy you're doing well. Yeah, I'm also, like, gosh darn it, I am gonna play a bit of Minecraft. Oh, that's cool then, Zoltan. I hope you're enjoying that, I was, I don't dislike Minecraft, I do like it. Yesterday was my birthday. Oh, happy birthday, Zoltan. I hope you had a nice birthday then, It's great to hear. Yeah, I like Minecraft, right? Minecraft's cool. But, like, I'm definitely that kind of player who needs motivation from the game itself. Like, you did. That's great, Zoltan. I'm happy for you. Yeah. But yeah, it's a cool game, but, like, I definitely need a lot of people, and I definitely need the game to give me, like, external motivation. I can't really have that. Agreed about Minecraft? Yeah. Like, Minecraft's cool, and I do respect the game for, like, how influential it was. And also, like, just, it's a good game, right? But it's definitely not for me. So other than that, what else? Oh yeah, I've been looking at like other games, right? And I'm like, man, I'd really like to watch. I'd really like to play some other games, but I have like co-signed myself to just basically say like, okay, time to time to just like play Veilguard because I do want to finish Veilguard, right? I had this experience, and I'll show it on stream as well, where the options for each of the different factions are really good and change the flavor of it really nicely, And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to, especially with the Immortan Watch, seeing how that changes it. There's a kind of campaign in Minecraft. It does have the win state. Oh, does it? Okay. not too familiar with a lot of those different ones. Never engaged with it that much. Yeah, yeah. The only time I've ever played is with friends or my brother. Ugh. Okay. Go then. I guess we'll just start, you know. Let's get it all ready. There we go. There we go. Okay. Cool. Now there was a bit of an issue where the first part of this was cut off a bit. But it should be super fine. You cannot do this, Elganon. You swore we would give up our command when this horrific war was over.
Our people need our leadership. If you're unwilling, leave.
Our people must rebuild, and we must help unite them.
Now, one of the things I really like about this is how the dialogue immediately shows the differences between Elganon and Gillenane. Elganon and Mythal. Elganon, like, is basically saying, like, yeah, they need us for leadership. While Mythal says basically,
if you're unwilling, leave.
Our people must.
Yeah, like he says they need leadership, and then she says, well, they need to rebuild, right? They need to unite, right? Which is a very different, like a very distinct, but also not Mythal's not really against Elganon, not explicitly, right? But it's very clear that their goals are different. Elganon thinks that, yeah, they need a big macho man like me, you know, wrestler of the sun, right? While Mythal is basically saying, like, yeah, they need, you know, time to heal, and we're the best ones to do that, right? Elganon should have gotten some more screen time. Just listen to, yeah, his voice actor is just amazing, right? Phenomenal stuff. And I absolutely can't just, like, every time he speaks, I'm always just like, wow, Elganon speaks some more.
Must rebuild, and we must help unite them.
So, we did not fight for freedom, but to conquer this land and our own.
We fought to win, and now the Evanuris are as gods. I do not answer to Mythal's annoying lapdog.
You can hear the venom in his voice, you know. Mythal's annoying lapdog. It's like, oh.
The people are afraid. They must believe in.
And again, you have Mythal, who then frames it, at least from her from her motivation, is that they're afraid and they need something to believe in, right? They need, like, she again is the counteractor, which I appreciate how the afterwards when the whole meeting comes together, how they all discuss that. It's really good.
They need strength
and wisdom.
Again, it's just such a good little
they need
moment.
Gods who can protect them.
What's your take on Solas and Mythal? We're a romantic couple. Like from what Belarus said, you know, that like it obviously was a bit different back in that time. So I don't necessarily think they were a romantic couple. Not, at least not in the sense that we would understand it from our perspective. What they have could be described as romantic in their way, plausibly, but it also could easily just be described as something they just did, right? If you cared about someone so deeply, you would just like treat them like that, you know? And that like their relationship wasn't really romantic. It was just like almost like a deep respect for each other, you know? Again, I don't think there are like proper words to describe what they were, because again, they were both spirits, like in a time where everyone was spirits, you know, except for like humans and titans and stuff. So we don't really have the words to properly describe what they were doing.
We are not gods. You will learn that.
Every lapdog hides a wolf inside.
I think so, especially because how similarly young Mythal sounds to the usual sort of an elf with a similar voice. But they were doing it though. They were definitely doing it, okay? Solas was reluctant, okay? But Mythal was hammering that fucking constantly, okay? Literally and figuratively. I think so. Yeah, right. Yeah, and we'll get to the other fragment of Mythol. I did record that as one as well, and when I go through, I absolutely love that entire section. Like this whole Solas' regrets and memories and whatnot is like the peak part of the game. Like genuinely. Also, hold on. Oh no. Oh man, it's the troubles are starting again. For anyone who was watching, okay, skip ahead so the troubles end because my Wi-Fi is just like absolutely destroying me. Okay, come back, please. Okay? Okay, it's fine. Okay. I respect your Wi-Fi, okay? Oh yeah, they were doing it, yeah, true codes to close that channel. And the murals for this is just like so good. Like really
That was
good.
strange. They were speaking Elven, but
One thing I like about this like sort of scene where they all meet together is one, I've always wanted more meetings within Bio games because for one, when they have these huge meetings, we get to see all the characters' dynamics like across each other. You know, characters who are a bit more snarky, characters a bit more serious. Like all of them get together, and also we can see, as you can see right here, just their idle animations. You know, like Davrin is constantly having his hands like just carving the wood. You know, Harding looks like she's just chilling out a bit. You know. Nev and Lucanus have some like drinks with her, and Emmerich just looking like he's preparing for his Lich Day, you know. Ooh, he's preparing for his Lichdom. Balara like standing at attention, like pay attention to everyone, while you know to have Tosh is just like chilling, you know, with her giant muscles. Their giant muscles. Fuck. I'm still at the point of the game.
I understood it.
Yeah, I love these. Yeah, they're so good, dude.
I believe we have experienced a memory in each of our native.
Which I also like how they explained like why they were like, oh yeah, they were speaking Elven, but we could understand it, you know. I like how they addressed that. That was a very important thing for me.
Not just any memory. One of the Dread Wolves.
And the mages who declared themselves my gods?
Oh, and this part I absolutely adore, man. Where it's just like, oh yeah, our gods, well mine, Davrin's, and Rook's, you know. It's just such a nice little touch.
Well, mine and Davrin's, and Rook's.
I especially love how a lot of the dialogue is very dependent on your race. So if you're an elf, you get more like, oh yeah, our gods, you know, my gods, that kind of thing, which I absolutely adore.
There they are, the Elven creators. You know how many Dalish legends I learned? Parables I was supposed to learn from. Kinda hard to take them seriously now that I've seen all the politics.
I wish they were monsters. Something grand and terrible. Seeing them like that, they're no better than Tevinter nobles.
But no worse, either. They were people. And people can let you down.
Alright. What else can we take from this memory?
And I also like how like Nev sort of brings it back to their perspective. They're not really gods, right? Like Dragon Age has not like the Maker is probably the only other one, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But it does seem like there aren't any like actual gods who are gods from a divine origin rather than like a natural origin. You know, so many of the gods we've seen in Thedas have always come from a natural origin. They've become gods, not that they were born gods. As much as Elgaran will see that. Yeah, reactivity in this game is off the charts. It really is. You know, it really is. And I guess there's one thing I want to talk about, which is the game will have these little pop-ups for saying like, so-and-so remember this, right? But the game doesn't do that often. It only does it with like very big choices. And I think that's very interesting that they did that. Because the game does have a lot more reactivity than I think some might think. Man Mythol's a fragment, an honest-to-God dialogue duel. Yeah, man. That was one thing that I was so happy about the first time I saw it. And I was just like, absolutely like, oh my gosh. We can have like an argument with Mythol. We have to argue our position and why she should help us. And if we just absolutely fucking suck and just choose the wrong options, she'll just say like, piss off, you know, get out of here, and we'll have to fight her. You know, it's such a good decision. You know, you have to like choose the arguments that make sense for that person, right? And I agree with you, Close End Channel, right? Like a lot of the usual system is just like you get your numbers up, which is fine in like a tabletop setting where like you could be a bit creative and say like you roll the number and it's like, oh, nat 1, and you have to then bumble. You can role play you bumbling the argument, you know. or if you roll 20, you can make a really good argument. But for, RPGs, they can't really do that. So another way I think that could be good is just that you are actually able to argue, and you can argue better if you get more information. Not that your character is like somehow innately better, but like you can understand the other person and get more information to unlock new dialogue options, if that makes sense.
Elgranon was hungry for power, did anything he could to get it, and to hold on to it.
Then Solas, furious at Elganon's installing himself as a despot, started his rebellion.
There's another moving part in this. Mythal. She was keeping the peace.
Mythal and Solas were close. The Inquisition found a temple to Mythal, and there were wolf statues everywhere.
Then she sides with Elgranon over him.
Now, for anyone's watching, right, you can there has been like some discussion about this scene particularly, and how a lot of people are like, oh, this scene is like just kind of like guiding you through it, saying like, hey, player, this is what you need to know. But this is like, I think, important to establish, because a lot of these characters haven't known this. The only character who knew this is like Harding, but none of the other characters knew about these facts. Tosh doesn't know, Davin doesn't know, Blara doesn't know, Emmerich doesn't know, Lucanus doesn't know. Like, none of these characters knows anything about this. So them like slowly but surely guiding through this is not only, I think, a good way to explain on, hey, this is them like being able to try to understand it for themselves, but also it's laying the groundwork to say like, hey, we need to understand like what we can take from this. So we're gonna have to analyze this piece by piece, which I think is very good. Oh, never such a detective? Yeah, she is, eh? Yes, and maybe the codex on the character you will need to read to better persuade them. I think so too as well. Like I don't like in. Oh, I don't know. I don't mind, I guess, the whole like putting a number in a stat and getting better results, but I think it's a lot more immersive if you have like options, and your options will expand the more you know of a character. I think that's just a lot more better and a lot more like interactive. Because you actually have to participate in the game world to actually understand it, which is something good about RPGs. She brings up motive on one of the other ones. Yeah, she does. We'll get to that when we get to that. And some players don't know either. Yeah. Some players just don't know either. So I think like this whole section is such a good way to not only tell new players, but also to make sense in the context of this world. Because like, out of the 6 companions we have, they don't know shit about like the elven gods or anything. Ballora maybe has a bit more information than them, but like none of them know the background that we as players know.
Close. The Inquisition found a temple to Mythal, and there were wolf statues everywhere.
Then she sides with Elgranon over him. A betrayal.
And I love the options here, right? Especially on how you can say like, okay, I can see Mythal's reason, but no wonder he's angry. You can side between like Mythal, saying like, yeah, I mean, I get why, I get why she did it. Or Solas, which is like, yeah, like they were fighting to end this war, not to become gods, right? And so he's obviously mad because of that, because they betrayed him. It's like, cool. Oh, and one thing I want to say, if you can notice it, right, there's this slight little tick, tick. It's a nice little detail, because it's actually Davrin like carving some wood, and it's such a good like ambiance.
Then she sides with Elgranon over him. A betrayal.
You can see over here he's carving, and I think that's such a neat detail.
I think I get where Mythal is coming from.
Really?
You've just finished some big war, everyone is exhausted, and now Elganon won't give up power? If Mythal sided with Solas, would Elganon have backed down?
Not a chance.
It would have
Not a chance. As he does the coolest thing ever.
led to another war. Mythal tried to keep the peace.
And Solas must see that, but still can't accept that she chose peaceful politics over his ideals.
And I think this makes like so much sense for why Mythal like betrayed Solas, right? Like, yeah, from what we learn later about Mythol, that she's like a spirit of benevolence, right? She wants to do the best that she can, right? And starting a war is kind of going against her nature, you know, because it's just going to cause another war. Elganon is going to just like start another hissy fit and try to destroy everything. And they just got done with a war, right? They're weary, they're tired, you know. They're not going to really be up to fighting, you know. And that is like such a good like moment for Mythol, but it also shows like Solas's regrets, because it's not just that moment. It's like other regrets compounding themselves. He regrets the fact that like Mythol kind of betrayed him and to side again with his her peaceful politics instead of his ideas, but also like on that he could have prevented this whole war if he just like said no to her, which we'll get to later on.
Perhaps these murals aren't simply memories. They're what Solas wishes to forget.
His regrets. That means they're a way to learn his weak points.
Why are we worried about Solas? He's trapped.
Right. But the Dread Wolf...
And I also like this moment where everyone understands, like, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, he's trapped, but, like, come on, God of Trickery. This guy's not going to stay trapped for long. He's going to get out. And I absolutely love this moment. Because to me, it's really cool when these characters actually, like, behave real. Like actual people. And to me, I just adore this so much. So, have you watched the Gilly's video on regrets and how... Yeah, I have. It's such a wonderful video, you know. Like, I highly recommend anyone to watch that. Because it's such a beautiful examination on... like, not only just, like, Dragon Age Veilguard's theme, but also on, like, a lot of Dragon Age in general, you know? Emmerich, Vicarian, being the smartest boy? Yeah, he's the smartest boy.
The god of trickery. He's looking for a way out. Bet on it.
Meanwhile, keep your eyes open in the crossroads. If there's a way to restore the rest of these murals, Solas would have kept it in his hideaway. It'd be nice to get inside his head for a change.
This is also maybe not the intended solution. I saw a lot of other people say this as well. But you're not supposed to like do this one after another, right? You're not supposed to like get up, run to the next mural, sit down, run to the next mural. Because like it's very clear that they want you to sort of view a regret and then absorb it, accept it, like think about it for a while, and then when you come back later, you're like, okay, what's gonna happen next, right? It's supposed to be, yes, let us get to the next like episode in this sort of like series in this season. But obviously, like me and many other people, no, screw that. I already did it. I'm gonna do it all now. Who gives a shit if I intended it or not? You know. Yes, all the Dragon Age has a lot of regrets in it. I want a theme to play through the games around that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how well that is supportive in that context. I mean, maybe in Origins, which character has like the most regrets you could exploit? I guess the human noble origin can have that, because they can also extend into the DLC in Awakening. And obviously in Awakening, you know, you're going to interact with Nathaniel, who was Howe's son, and so there can be some more regret there, right? For Hawk, I think that's maybe a bit easier to do with Hawk. Daily Shelf. I mean, okay. The thing is, a lot of the characters can regret. I'm just saying which one has the most regret. Because the Data Shelf definitely has that, but the Data Shelf doesn't really have a lot of reoccurring characters within the game, you know? Their story also permits through the series. I mean, that is well, right? But that's more of a thematic through line for like the elves rather than like regret itself. I'm not saying like it doesn't have any regrets. Just saying like I think the human origin has a bit more. Oh, and the murals once again. Oh, look at this. So beautiful.
I was not certain you would come.
You were the one who walked away. I never turn my back when my friend needs me.
The Evanures seek the magic of the Blight.
Impossible. The Blight is safely sealed away forever.
One thing I do want to quickly like examine here is the different characters here, because I can't remember which of the elven gods are who. I know this one is Gillenane and this one is Elgaron. I don't know who this one is. I want to say like Dirthaman, right? I gotta say, I do love the silly hats all of them have, you know? Especially the way Solas depicts him here. You know, like, ah, I'm gonna depict you as this silly guy, you know, I won my argument.
No, I wish I could believe you. I have sensed the breaking of the wards.
I will investigate your claims. If they forget the danger of the Blight, I will endeavor to remind them.
What if, instead, you left the Evanuris and remained with me? Do you not wish for freedom from this struggle?
Be at peace, love. I will stop them.
As you must. The Blight is our mistake.
I absolutely love this so much, you know. It's just such a... Oh, it's so good.
Did Mythal call Solas love in that memory?
That's what it sounded
I
like.
love how all of them are like, whoa, they fucked.
So they were doing it.
The
So they were
elven
doing it.
gods were free with their emotions. They felt things deeply. The way they express things, well, it feels romantic to us, but that wasn't really how it was. Back then, I mean.
Nah, they were doing it.
Yes, obviously. Maybe. Moving on. I don't think so. Ugh.
As someone who has Solas talking in my dreams, I'm with Balara. I just can't see Solas carrying on a secret affair with Mythal.
Can't because you don't think he would? Or can't because you don't want to think about it while he's in your head?
Yes.
Yes.
So the Dread Wolf goes to Mythal. They might be fighting, but they have history.
And he warns her about the other gods using the Blight. That's more important than his rebellion.
Tosh being an absolute legend, yeah. Especially because, like, I love how Tosh is, like, playing a bit for laughs, but later in this conversation, she says something very, very important, you know.
It's like kingdoms coming together when an archdemon rises.
Mythal didn't think it was possible. She said the Blight was sealed away. There's an old legend about it, Davrin, the one with Andrul's
And this one I love
armor?
I love so
Not
much,
sure
you
it
know.
matters.
Where we could be like, okay, yeah, it's got to you know, like these dialogue options I'll talk about now, but the fact that we get to choose, like, based on our, like, faction background, like, yeah, I know that story. I'm aware of it.
I've heard that story too. The armor of the void, right?
Yes, Andrul, the goddess of the hunt, put on armor made of something called the Void, and it drove her mad.
And that's something I think is so, like, really cool about, like, I guess, like, Dragon Age in general, where you have a lot of these lore references from previous games influencing newer ones, because the whole Andrul Void armor was literally just a codex entry, right? But now it's an actual, like, component of the storytelling that can help us understand what's going on. It's cool.
And the other gods were worried because she was doing horrible things.
Sounds like an elven god twisted by the corruption of the Blight.
Right. And then Mythal turned into a dragon and fought Andrul in a huge battle.
She won. Why didn't you start with that?
I also love how Auro gets to tell it, and if you don't do that, Balara gets to tell it, and it's just such a nice little touch.
Anyway, she took Andrul's armor away, then Andrul's madness left, and peace returned.
Intriguing. So it's possible Andrul stumbled onto the magic of the Blight.
And when Andrul went mad, Mythal took it from her and locked it away.
Until someone started using it again.
Cool. And now, obviously, this one, which the dialogue wheel in most Bioware games, I think, are like two things, right? They're ways for you to like actually make a choice, and also like characterization, right? Well, obviously for this, right, we're characterizing what we think about like Solas, right? All of these are the general sentiment of like, Solas is kind of like, you know, ugh. But like, Solas felt guilty, Solas felt smug, and Solas was worried. No, it's actually more in the other camp, which is we're making a choice, which is what we think about them. Yeah, never mind.
The Blight's one of the only things that really scares Solas. He came to Mythal afraid.
And she took it seriously, too.
So Mythal goes off to investigate what Solas says. Then, what? It's too clean.
Seems plenty messy with them doing it.
But this isn't just a memory. It's something Solas wanted to hide. What's the crime? What did we see here that he feels guilty about?
I think I might know. when the Inquisitor was saving the world from the breach.
I love, and again, one of these little meetings I love is just the small details of like, Nev literally like moves over and like looks at her directly. It's like so cool.
She met Mythal.
What? Like in a dream?
It was complicated. She helped the Inquisition. There was a magic pond and a dragon.
Nice.
Nice.
The point is, she also said the other elven gods betrayed her, killed her.
Oh, and I absolutely love how throughout this entire like Solas' memories we get to ask questions, and it's so good. I should have known Harding had Liara's voice, with how calming her voice can be. Yeah, man. Again, such a good voice actor, you know?
Okay, sorry, point of order. If they killed Mythal, how was she still around to help the Inquisition?
Elven god magic? She'd spent centuries gathering strength and sharing people's bodies, I think.
If it was a truly benign possession, that speaks to her character.
Also, again, like, that's another important thing that each of these characters bring in, which is like, oh, Emmerich saying like, oh yeah, if it's a benign possession, that means like it says something, right? Because since he's obviously the Fate and Spirit expert, he will know that like, oh, if this is just a benign possession, it means something about her, you know?
Solas tried to do the right thing by warning Mythal about the other gods using the Blight, but he got her killed.
Well, it's not just that she died.
What do you mean, Tosh?
It's... There was stuff he wanted to tell her, but he waited too long, and then she was dead. He never got to make it right. That twists you up.
Now, I love that line in so many ways. For one, I love how it accurately describes what Solas is feeling. The regret isn't just about like Solas is mad that like Mythal didn't join him, right? He's mad because Mythal died, and there were things that he wanted to say that were just left unsaid. I also like it as well because it comes so deeply from Tosh as well. Because obviously, spoiler alert, Tosh's mom, Shathan, dies at the end of her quest line, and when she dies, it's just like, okay, she's gone. And she now she's not able to say the things that are unsaid. She's never able to like say sorry, forgive her, or talk to her ever again. And it twists them up inside. And that's something that I just absolutely love and appreciate so much. Because it has so many meanings at so many levels, you know? Because the channel says, hold on, is Lucanus's possession the same possession that Mythal had used? Like going in the direction of the same magic being used? I don't think so. Maybe I don't think so, right? Because Spite was forced into Lucanus, and Lucanus had Spite forced into him, right? Mythal's possession is more like, if you are a willing host, I'm willing to possess you, right? She'll possess like almost anybody, right? But they have to be willing, you know. She wasn't forced into any of them. So I think that's the difference, you know. Yeah. So that is one thing. Maybe when I do my Sack Minrathos playthrough, I'll be able to like explore like Spite and Lucanus' relationship a lot more deeply. But at the moment, obviously, I can't really do that, you know. But I still would have liked to see more exploration with Lucanus's like and Spite's relationship. Because the first time we saw them, where Spite was just like in the background, just like commenting, and no one was aware of them, I love that so much, and I would have loved to see that even more throughout.
That's it. There's our crime.
Doesn't really tell us anything we can use, though.
We know more than we did. That's something.
Then I guess we keep our eyes open if we come across more of these memories.
Go up again. They all quickly leave, you know, and then I'm like, okay, put the next one down. Come back in, guys. Come back in. Also, me just quickly checking the map because there's more dialogue I have to go through.
You dare to try to cage us, jealous of our growing power.
You will pay.
I love this so much now. For one, the music. Dreadwolf's music of just like starting to like building up, something's coming after you, and then like blows up at the end. It's so good. The voice acting is phenomenal, and the murals of just like, again, like this, someone's clutching his hands and sucking him dry. It's good. It's interesting how Spite, as soon as he gets control of Lucanus, doesn't do anything nefarious. He just tries to go back to the Fade. I mean, that is something very interesting, and I would have liked to see explored more. Which is like, why doesn't Spite try to kill anyone, right? Like, he's literally able to. You know, it's not like he can't like kick them out. You know, like even early on, like no one would have said, like, I guess the caretaker would have done something, you know, like, oops, whoops, I got you guys, haha, you tried to fail, didn't you? But like there's no way he couldn't have just like killed a bunch of them, you know. He's a demon, right? I don't think Tosh could like withstand a demon, you know. So I don't know, and that's the one thing I would have loved to see more exploration with, which is like when we have people being possessed by spirits, they're so interesting, you know. Wynn was very interesting, you know, in that regard. And it was very interesting, you know. It's just really interesting. But, like, we didn't really see that, which does suck. But he does hit Lucanus before that, so still a bit bad, but not as nefarious as Justice. I mean, no, yeah, exactly, you know. I generally tried to not do the regrets in one sitting on my second playthrough, but I literally couldn't. They're so addictive. Yeah, there's such a wonderful piece of content within this game, especially like compared to the previous 10, like early 10 hours, right? Where there isn't really much going on. And now that you have this like whole, just plethora of like great and phenomenal writing, you just have to just engage in all of it, you know? You have to eat it up all.
Final price for this betrayal.
We warned you not to use the blood. For this, and for Mythal, I sentence you to sleep in exile ever after. Your own lives will form the veil that keeps the horror you unleashed at bay.
Oh, it's so good, dude. Also, one thing I want to note here as well is that this is, I think, Gillenane in her new form, not her like old form, because like she's a lot more elongated. She doesn't have the double arms, right? But she's a lot more elongated. And also like the other ones as well. I would have, and again, this is obviously maybe a bit of a missed opportunity, but I would have loved to have all the Evernurse like say something, right? Dirthmin, Falendin, June, the lady who does architecture, and Androl. I would have loved them to say something, you know. Oh, that would have been good. I like how these are just audio codex entries in a way. Still invite in imagination, but do it in a different way. Ooh, that's actually a great way for Dragon Age to do it, you know. I was thinking, like, Dragon Age could do the audio codexes by having, like, a character narrate them, and, like, some special effects and music. Not for, like, all of it, same like Mass Effect, but at least some of them to really sell the point home. Also, man, how alive are these scenes with the camera movements and the audio design, despite it being little static images? The ones Titans comes to mind, where drama is created by one. Yeah, and I think I want to say these murals are made by Matt Rhodes, because I think Matt Rhodes was the one who designed the sort of tarot art aesthetic that Dragon Age uses, and his art style is just brimming with storytelling, you know. Until the end of the regret, yeah.
So he locked the gods away and created a veil between this world and the Fade. I mean, they were terrible, no question. But what he did, it didn't just stop them. It destroyed our culture, our world.
It wasn't just to stop them. It was to stop the Blight. We've seen how bad Elganon and Gillenane are. Imagine all 7 corrupted gods.
I also like how different kind of elves Balara and Davrin are. Davrin's like an elf, right? He doesn't like disown that. He's an elf, and he'll say that. But like he's an elf who's like takes it in a secondary concern. Yeah, sure, I'll pay lip service and stuff, but like I'm still me. I'm my own guy, which I think is like really cool to have that contrast.
Running wild.
So he created the veil just to keep the elven gods locked in their prison?
Yes, to keep them from accessing the Fade. But was the creation of the veil around the world an accident?
You heard him yelling. That's not the sound of a ritual going right.
What do you think, Rook?
Oh, I love this so much, you know. I obviously chose like the loss hurts, you know. And especially because I love how it's, oh, this is a specific elf dialogue. It's just so good, you know. Davrin is like Sarah in a way, but way better done in my opinion. I mean, I like Sarah a lot. I think Sarah's pretty cool. But like I do like how Davrin is not like an elf, you know. I do like the different side of exploring elves.
A lot of my time in the Veil Jumpers studying the remnants of the Elven Empire. I get why he did it. If I were there, I might have fought at his side against the gods. But accident or not, necessary or not, my people lost their world that day. That's never gonna be easy.
Yes, that. Exactly.
I had another question, and I'm sorry, maybe this doesn't matter, but Solas
I think Tosh is Sarah in a way, but again done better. Really? I guess. Sure. I'm not sure if I entirely agree. I can see what you mean, but I'm not sure if I entirely agree.
trapped the blight.
Because like I think Sarah is a lot more, because like maybe I'm taking it too literal and not necessarily like the sort of spirit of it. Because to me when I said like, oh, Sarah again, I'm like, oh, Sarah, but again. With the serial numbers filed off.
Gods in an ancient elven building, right?
That's what it looks like. Maybe a palace? Fancier than what I've seen in Arlethan, at least.
And then, the Magisters were lured into the Fade. They broke in, which let the Blight escape, and turned the Golden City black.
Right, and the Black City hangs in the Fade, a little reminder of their mistakes. What's wrong, Lace?
It's just... the Chant of Light says that the Maker built for them the Golden City, the center of all creation. But if the Golden City was an ancient elven palace, then the Maker didn't build it. The elves did. The Chant of Light is Andraste's visions from the Maker, but it sounds like it's wrong.
In a way, that's Tosh is grounded and blunt, and that's how I perceive. Oh, okay. I mean, yeah. Then they are like very similar to Sarah. Then you know the fact that they are very like grounded and blunt. Yeah, no, I get you. Sarah and Tosh are both complex, of course, but I feel like Tosh is just in the same niche. Yeah, no, I get you.
You're asking if we just disproved the entire Andrastian faith.
I love how Lucanus just says that. You're asking if we disprove the entire Andrastian faith.
Did we?
Did we? Like, are you sure? And I absolutely love this. Now, obviously, from what Bayer says, they'll never like answer the question whether the Maker is real or not. But I do like how this throws the question into like the wrench. You know, the Black City has always been something that a lot of people have thought it was the Maker, and especially a lot of demons talk about it as well. But like demons could just literally be lying. You know, the most notable example is a demon saying in the orphanage in Dragon Age Origins, basically saying like, oh, your Maker can't help you now. Which is like, okay, sure, right. Demon could be lying, who knows, or could just be reflecting what they see. So yeah. But we never got a confirmation of the Maker existing. But I do love how if you are playing as a character who believes in the Maker, how you can say like, yeah, I still believe in the Maker 100%. Or if you go to the right side, which is, yeah, I mean, I believe in the Maker, but like, man, this fucking hurts, you know, this sucks, man, right? All the other options, which is like, you say like, I don't believe in them, right? But like, don't let this shake you, you know? Or you can just say like, I'm sorry, Lace, this kind of sucks, you know? It's such a wonderful way to act as a person who believes in the Maker, you know? And one of the things I would have loved to see more within the game, but this is such a nice treat. Such a good little treat. I also like how they hand-wave the degree of this discovery away. Like, kind of cheap, but it does make sense. I mean, yeah, right. I don't know if you can really, like, talk about it in depth beyond just, like, fuck. I mean, I guess we don't know, right? Like, here's the thing, right? The answer still has to come from, which is, was the palace built by the Evanurs, or maybe it was something they inhabited? Additionally, like, who created the spirits, you know? Like, clearly Solas doesn't have an answer. When he was confronted in the Inquisition, not confronted, but like, when he talked about the idea, he didn't really know if the Maker was real or not, you know? He probably doesn't know where spirits come from, you know? He doesn't know how the Fate was created. He can't really answer that because he doesn't know. So, like, the Maker could still be behind it all, right? The Maker could have literally, and again, later down in the memories, Solas mentions that like he doesn't want to live as humans, which is like, okay, if he doesn't want to live as humans, that means that humans exist prior to the elves. Which, does that not imply that the Maker exists, and after he saw his spirits just kind of like do whatever and disagree with them, he then like made humans to be more creative? Because we also have to ask the question of this, which is, spirits look to the mortal world to then define themselves and become more real. So then, what are they trying to define themselves against? You know? There has to be another force that is there for them to say like, hey, I'm looking at that force and then copying it. Could that not just be humans? Could be Titans as well, sure. But could that not just as easily be humans? That's something I think is like, you can't really have a discussion without just making it a whole conversation of its own. It's very complicated, you know, and I think they could have maybe done a bit better, but like, I think the way they did it, the way they addressed it, was good enough, you know, and satisfied me personally, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is cool, huh? I think maybe this would have been mitigated if we were allowed to be able to discuss like the Maker and all that kind of stuff throughout the game. You know, like we talk to some Chantry official who's very high up and knows a lot of things, and is like, yeah, I've heard that these elven gods that are bad. Kind of puts our faith into question, you know, because if they're real, what if our god isn't real? You know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, close in general, I agree. But yeah, but I do like that, and I love how when we get to this, we just get a plethora of options. It's so good. The Chantry would definitely hide these revelations. Oh, definitely they would. Oh, definitely they would. Or they would just say like they're upstart elves and we should like oppress them more, so they don't like get uppity. You know, like I think that's definitely a thing that would happen, right? Um, but I think it would have been better if we were able to like explore that more within the game itself, instead of having like this moment be basically the only thing that talks about the Maker in any real way. Yeah, also I do like how the bottom two options are basically like, okay, I'm not gonna say anything about like my views and what I think, you know, which I think is really good. I wish Inquisition shoved this discovery, not this game. Um, really, I would. I don't. I think it could have worked in Inquisition. I don't think it's bad in this game either. Um, maybe you'll have to expand on at least what you mean by that. Like, why do you think Inquisition should have had the discovery and not this game? Because I think it works in both. Oh, so good.
The Maker was never my faith, Lace, but I don't think you have to give it up.
But what they taught us was just wrong. What if the Maker just doesn't exist?
Because then Channel says, Inquisition is a game with the most, oh yeah, Chantry focused characters around the most focused, the was handled in that game, so the characters reacted. Yes, now I understand you. Okay, now, okay, I think I agree a bit more now. It would have been cool to see how Liliana would have grappled with that, and the justification to that. Because obviously, we had something similar to that, which is, like, who is Divine Justinia, right? Is it a spirit, the actual Divine Justinia, whatever, right? Who actually helped the Inquisitor. Having the revelation of, like, yeah, the Black City is an elven thing, right? Would have been really interesting to see how Cassandra and Liliana would have reacted to it, you know? Oh, this is actually just like Chantry like propaganda again. They just changed things obviously, and this is just like them blaming mages and using agenda and political tool and stuff like that. Or if they can actually like challenge the faith and maybe even like change it. which I think would be very interesting, you know. Though I'm not necessarily sure where they would place that in, you know. Maybe they could do that during the fear section, where, but maybe that could be a bit overwhelming, where you have like not only the revelation that like divine Justinian is not a spirit, you know, especially because like then that would overpower the moment. Like, oh, divine Justinian is actually a spirit, right? Implied to be a spirit. But put that aside. Actually, the Black City is an elven thing. Like, okay, sure, man. Yeah, okay. I think maybe it would have been a bit overwhelming. That's the only issue I see. I think Dav is clever in making omissions in the story, in the world that led like not presenting Chantry people equally eases things for the story to not ponder the same questions Origins asked. I mean, yeah. But I do feel like there is a bit of an issue with that, because I do think it would have been cool to see the questions be pondered again, but then the answers may have been different, or it may have been portrayed in a different way. You know? Yeah, they could have revealed in the place of Mythol, in the place of Mythol's temple. Yeah, but then like, I guess they could have done that. But again, I think that would have been like a lot of overwhelming details, and a lot of people would have been distracted. Because like in that section we get reveal. I guess there's no real big revelations there. I guess. Yeah, I guess. You could have had a mural depicted where it like shows the Black City, and it's like, oh, that's the Black City. Oh wait, why is it in an elven place? Huh? You know? I guess I could have done that.
The chant of light might be wrong, but it's been made and changed by people over 1,000 years.
There was a whole verse about an elf named Shartan.
Oh.
And the Chantry just cut it out.
So maybe the Golden City was meant as a metaphor, or maybe it was added because of politics. That might change the history, but it doesn't have to change your whole faith.
The Dalish clans are struggling with the same thing. What do we keep?
Now, that's one thing I do like the game actually addresses. Like, yeah, the Danish clans are like, oh yeah, our gods are real, but what should we do now that they're real, and now that like terrible people, you know, what should we do in this situation? I would have liked it if we actually saw this in game, if we could actually talk to some Dalish veil jumpers and like ask them like, hey, like, what do you think about this whole situation, you know? Like, how are you feeling? Because, like, that's something that I do think is very weak on this game, which is we don't get to do the same thing as we did before in prior games, which is ask faction leaders or random characters, like, questions and see how they react, you know? The game definitely upticks that as the game progresses, which I appreciate, you know? But I do think, like, that is clearly a mark on how the game was prior to the reset that happened that turned the game into a single player game, right? I've said it a lot of times before, but it is very clear to me that once that shift was done, they added a lot more things that felt more Dragon Age-y.
What do we lose?
The elven gods, the Maker. No matter who you light a candle to, you've got some hard questions to ask yourself right now.
Doctrine is not the truth. It is one of many paths to the truth.
Doctrine is not the truth. It is one of many paths to the truth. Oh!
I recognize the sentiment, though not the specific quote. Who said that?
My mother.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Ah, yeah, sure. I absolutely love that quote because it's such pure goodness, and it's very true. You know, doctrine is not the truth. It's one of many paths to the truth. It's just like, and especially on who Tosh's character is so like double meaning. You know, not only does it apply to Tosh as well, but it applies to the situation as well. It's so good.
Questions of faith aside, we have some very real gods that still need to...
Looks like there are 3 more of these murals with the Dreadwolf's old memories. Wonder what else he's hiding.
Okay, team. Meet back in like 5 seconds. Man, almost an hour of bad writing. Almost an hour of atrocious writing. Hour of just again and again of bad writing. Doctrine is not the truth, but one of many paths to truth. Literally garbage. Veilguard is such a bad and not good game. So true. So true.
You have so long observed the world. Why not consider joining it?
But I have no desire to live as humans.
Okay. One thing that does upset me that the characters do not talk about is they don't like. But I don't have any desire to live as humans. Like what? My guys, what are you doing? This is a huge revelation. It means, like, yeah, humans existed for a while. We got that, you know. But it literally means that, like, wait, humans aren't spirits. So, like, humans are a separate thing that are apart from spirits. Wait a minute. This like opens up a lot of things, right? The implication that the Maker created humans as like their second child, you know, beyond the elves, is so important to Chantry doctrine that it could like actually make Chantry doctrine a little bit more true, you know? Which is like, to me, why did they mention this? You know, I don't think it's bad writing. I think it's maybe a bit of a missed opportunity. But like, to me, this is such a huge lore revelation, you know? Or maybe I'm just like someone who hasn't read this one obscure codex entry from Inquisition or Origins, and like, oh, actually it does address it, never mind. You know? Man.
I have the Fade. Besides, this talk of taking on a solid form. I think you underestimate the danger. When you took the glowing stone to build your body, did the earth not shake?
Delirium gives us the strength we had when we were of the Fade. We are the best of physical and spirit. I need your wisdom, Solas, to withstand
the sales have been so low, and the people who played it not considering it the best run ever, but not hating it as much as the majority of people who definitely have been proven to not play the game. It's comforting, I think. Yeah, I think it is comforting, right? Like I think one of the things that made me feel like, yeah, people are just wrong about this game having terrible writing is when I played this section. You know, I'm like, sorry. The opinion that this game has like awful writing is just not true. Like, I think the most accurate thing you can say about Veilguard is that it is a good game, but with a lot of missed opportunities, right? Because that is obviously what the issue here is. It's not that the game has bad writing. It just has some missed opportunities that it should have fulfilled on. You know, it also does make me feel better, as you said, like, yeah, I'm confident in my opinion. I'm not missing something. I'm not like secretly blinding myself to something. I know what I'm talking about, and I'm confident in what I'm talking about. It's just these people are just like liars and losers, you know? The two L's. Man, imagine being any of the companions on that day, like Tosh going to their room thinking, yeah, pull-ups and not even making it to the door. Here scream, team meeting again this hour. Yeah. Like, they break up, you know. Maybe the Canis is thinking, like, maybe I should make some food, you know. Maybe that'd be great, right? And then from across the fate, team meeting again. Like, okay.
louder voices who would go too far like Elganon. I need you.
This is madness. You must know that. I will always follow where you go.
The sadness in Solas' voice, man, is so good. My rooks are very annoying bosses as well. Guys, I need you to stay up late so we can get this job done, okay? Sorry, no overtime.
Astounding. The ancient elves were spirits who voluntarily manifested a physical form.
I'd rather go back to talking about the Blight.
I like how oddly comedic that is. Like, Emmerich just absolutely relishing in this lore bomb of like, oh, literally all elves were spirits. Wow, that like changes everything. Davrin, can't we talk about like killing monsters again? That was a lot more fun.
Hey, Lucana.
At worst, Veilguard's writing is just kind of too direct, but only the first missions. It kind of gets much better the further you go. Yeah, and I think that's, again, due to the fact that it was a live service game. Like, they were writing from the perspective of, okay, so what are, like, live service players like going for, right? And like live service players will like tolerate a lot of shit, a lot of dumb shit. You know, they'll tolerate a lot of terrible stuff. Destiny, I imagine, like has some good writing moments here and there, but like, come on, people are not playing Destiny for the story. A lot of people will go like, "Whoa, cool story," you know, but like for the most part, a lot of Destiny's story isn't really that great. It's gotten good with like the Taken King and the Witch Queen, but a lot of the other stories, the acceptable stories that people say are like good, like like Forsaken and whatnot, have a lot of gaps in them that just like leave a lot of things desirable. And so obviously a lot of the first few missions for Veilguard was run from their perspective, was like now, you know, changed because of were like that because it was done from that perspective. But obviously when it changed, they were now like, okay, now we can actually write seriously, and then they were changing it. They couldn't go back and change it because that would take too much time and resources they just didn't have because EA fucking sucks, you know? And so now it's like, okay, now that we're like getting back into the groove of things and making it better and better as we go on, we can have moments like this where it's just phenomenal moment after moment after moment. Destiny's good writing is all in codex entries, not in the game. I mean, that's also true as well. The Arduous, and also, hey, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Yeah, live service writing is like the flavor text for an endless mission number 4356. Yeah, I remember when I played Destiny a lot more. A lot of the writing was literally just like set dressing. You know, it was just like some minor context that I needed to do this thing. That was in and there could have been just another activity. You know. Yeah, live service and story is not something I've gotten into, and I don't know if I ever could. Yeah, I stuck around with Destiny long enough because the gameplay was really good, but because I'm the person who loves the potential of something more than what something actually is. You know, that's why I could like tolerate a lot of Anthem more than I think a lot of people could, because I love the potential of Anthem so much. I'm so enamored by the potential of it, you know, of what could have been, you know. And I'm a lot more forgiving on something if it touches on a potential of something, you know. Which is why I think like I differ, which is like for me in general, I'm more of a half glass, the glass is half full kind of guy, because I love something for what it could be, not what it is.
Could Spite turn into an elf?
No.
Oh.
Sorry.
Fucking what? Huh? Who are you? Which Lucanus, you're downplaying this. Spike could turn into an elf. This is also a revelation I want to talk about, which is, I think, has always been set up and hinted at throughout the entire Dragon Age series, and was only recently confirmed with Inquisition, where Cole actually turns into, who is a spirit, turns into a real boy, you know? Where, like, yeah, spirits and demons have always, like, kind of looked on to the real world in a sort of weird fondness thing. Spirits less so than demons, but they've always, like, done something to interact with the mortal world, you know? And have, in many ways, nearly became real themselves, you know? And that's something I think is just, like, cool to finally outright confirm. Yes, spirits, like elves, humans, maybe humans, were once spirits themselves, which is cool. I personally play Warframe, and its story is great, but like you remember about it once in a year, once in a half a year when a new story mission comes out. Yeah, I tried to get into Warframe. I tried to get into the story of it. I just couldn't handle the grinding. It was just too much grinding for me. I eventually stopped. I think by Lost Dream. It was after you get this like a big guy who gets confronted by like a bunch of red people. I can't remember the context of it, you know. I think it was around about the Natasha one. It's a sad day that BioWare's last new IP was a live service game. I love DA and ME is pretty good to me with 2 and 3, but BioWare does need more IPs in the belt. Yeah, and they used to do that so much more. Like, I'll put this up again, you know. Because I think it's important for like either people who are just watching this as well, and also just as a refresher. But BioWare used to just make more like more different like IP and like work with different IP dead. And just fire. Like they used to make so much more. Like here the games developed, the Spyro games. You have Shattered Steel, new IP, obviously. Baldur's Gate, they were working with another IP. MDK, obviously. Baldur's Gate again. Then you have Neverwinter's Night. Then you have Star Wars: The Old Republic. You have Jade Empire, Mass Effect, Sonic, Mass Effect again, Dragon Age, and then it's just like as it turns into like just same game afterwards. But before they were working at least with like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like 9 different IPs, right? And during this time when they were making Mass Effect and Dragon Age Origins, they were going to do Agent, Jade Empire, like Revolver, which is a new IP entirely. Like they were doing new IPs, and I feel like BioWare creatively wants to do like new IPs again and again and again, but like simply can't because they're stuck in Dragon Age and Mass Effect purgatory because that's the only thing EA wants to do. And even then, EA doesn't fucking give a shit about Dragon Age. You know, they clearly just like don't care, which sucks, man. Yeah, I would die for another Jade Empire game. You know. Or at least whatever Revolver would be. Tosh and Spirits name a better duel? Yeah. I hate how all these revelations were spiked for me in was spoiled for me in a Mega Theory video before Veilguard. But that's the thing that I love so much about it, Ryan. One of the things that I think is good about a game is not like, or like media in general, is that it doesn't matter if like the surprise ruined. Like who cares that like the surprise was spoiled because you could just think about it for a bit and you could see it. Gosh, that didn't make sense. Let me start over again. Bloody heck. Being a live streamer, right? Yeah, fuck EA, right? But anyways, back to it. I don't think the quality of a product is lowered if you could predict what will happen in the next arc, right? Or the next moment, or the next story beat. I just think that is good storytelling because you clearly made sure that like it was understandable so that the audience could go like, oh, naturally this is the next thing that happens, and then it happens, right? You can't just throw curveballs without it making sense, right? There has to be some setup. And curveballs, and like here's the thing, right? Even curveballs can be predictable if you just think about it long enough, right? If you have enough time, you'll be able to like understand when a curveball is going to hit, you know? And like to me, I'm just not interested in like this is the issue that Game of Thrones season 8 have, where they're like, okay, here's a surprise sudden thing that no one expected, right? That goes against characterization because people predicted things, and we could have had like internet to people who are like, so predictable. Like, fuck those people, okay? They have no imagination, they hate life, and they're terrible people. Constantly having this weird thing of like, I predicted this, I knew that. Boring! Like, fuck off, man. It doesn't matter if you knew about it. What matters is if it's executed well, and if it's set up well, you know? Also, I'm very orange now. But yeah. Yeah. Do so much, yeah. There's a lot of quality of life for new players in Warframe recently. Give it another try. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Quality of life to me has to be like they have to actually make a coherent story. Because when I last played it, right, I think it was like 2017 or something like that, a while ago. I was like, okay, I was put into it, and then like I did the first story mission, got out, and then it's just whole map, whole information. I didn't know where to go next. There was no like guidance, and then it was like Plains of Eidolon. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I doing this? Who am I? What is the trajectory of this story? You know? Yeah. For fuck's sake, autocorrection. A, man. A. Yeah, get 100 people in a room and try to get them to predict what will happen in your story next, and some of them will, but that doesn't mean anything. It just means that they were right with the guess. Yeah. You know? And it's good when people, like, understand what's going to happen next as well, because, like, it means that an expectation can be set, and you can then, you know, do that expectation well, right? Executing something is just as important as, like, being able to do a big reveal, you know? Because, like, I don't think a big reveal is as meaningful if you don't have like the expectations set and then paid off, right? If that makes sense. Also, I'm not saying quality was worse. I just like twists and they're a cool twist. Oh no, I get what you mean, Ryan. I do also like, since I'm maybe a bit of a YouTuber, who knows, you know, like and subscribe, right? I'm obviously kind of now obligated to do this kind of thing, and I don't mind to do that, right? I don't mind it personally. But if I was actually playing how I normally play, I would have gone through blind. A lot of these things, I know for a fact, I would have been like, I would have felt that more because I also like going things blind. You know, that's just how I prefer these kind of things. You know, but obviously I can't really do that. You know, so but I get you, Zoltan. Man, your Warframe experience is so real. Yeah, yeah, man. And I think maybe a common Warframe experience is eventually I got so fucking miffed about the timers and stuff that I literally bought some stuff to mitigate that, and I also bought a Warframe because I'm like, okay, I need some overpowered Warframe to carry me through this because I cannot fucking deal with this shit. You know, I just cannot deal with this bullshit anymore. And so I bought those who are here for Dragon Age, you can skip ahead, okay? Until we talk about Dragon Age again. No, not that one. What was the Warframe's name? They were very hard. That's all I really remember. Warframe, say, Saren? I think it's Warframe Saren. I don't know. Yeah, there we go. And the reason I chose them, not only just for the looks, okay, but also because they have an ability where they do damage over time. You know, so you can plague a character or an enemy, and it'll deal damage over time, and it'll just kill them outright. Which I did that one because like, okay, overpowered. I'm good with this. Okay, I need to be on easy mode for a while. Okay, Warframe has too many big numbers for me to deal with. You know. But yeah, let's get back talking about Dragon Age. You know. Hold on, let's see. They recently put out a Warframe that is made in 24 hours instead of 72 hours, and changing some other times. They do it slowly, but they're addressing stuff. I mean, yeah, right, but still, 24 hours. I have to like literally like go off or go offline for a day, you know. And like when I have only limited time to play games, you know, I'm like, okay, I need to play this game. Holy shit, I need to wait 24 fucking hours. Gosh darn it, man. Whatever. Off topic, but it's sad X Defined is gonna be shut down. Yeah. I remember I watched a Bricky video on that, and I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, it's a cool game, and I'm glad like those kind of games are coming back in vogue. You know, but it does suck that it goes away. You know, that's a sort of like curse of being a live service game. You just kind of like go off. There's just a point in your existence where you just don't exist anymore, which does suck. It'll happen to like every live service game, you know, which will suck when it happens to like Destiny, because man, that'll suck. Because I have fond memories of Destiny. I would like to replay it, you know, one day. Saren is in fact very strong, but Warframe does fuck all to teach you to build. Man, yeah, man. Especially when I got into Warframe, right, and I was like learning how to like make a build. I was like, when I looked up a guide to build, I was just so confused and lost. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not doing this. I'm gonna like mess around and like find something, okay? It's either that or I'm just gonna like stick with my overpowered Warframe and just continue from that, okay? Sorry, man. I'm not doing this bullshit building thing, okay? Please give me an easy mode. That's the kind of difficulty I really hate, okay? I'll take like skill checks where it's like Dark Souls. I've played Bloodborne recently, you know, and I'm fine with that game. I was able to beat it, and I was able to like handle most of the bosses. The only one that gave me real difficulty and I was really frustrated with was Ludwig. But even then I was fine. You know, it didn't take me more than like 10 tries, right? Most of the guys kind of suck, not gonna lie. Yeah, man. Anyways, Warframe being bad aside, for Warframe anyway. I mean, yeah. Warframe being bad aside, you know. And also adding time travel to their fucking universe. Fantastic. let's get back to the topic at hand.
Sorry, but what?
But that is something I do want to do. I do want to make a Warframe video. Just talking about like why I don't like Warframe. Oh, and I love the options here, right? Like, sorry, but what?
Could Spite
like,
turn
sorry.
into an elf?
No.
Composed.
Sorry, but what?
Yes, Blara, I agree with you. Where like our Rook and say like, am I a spirit? Like, this is actually great. I guess it's our secret. I'm not a spirit. I love these options so much, you know. It's not strictly time traveling, and it's sexy as fuck. I mean, okay. Sorry again for people who want to watch Dragon Age. Skip ahead again. I think it's the new expansion. Warframe 1999. I mean, come on, man. Are you sure it's not time travel? 1999. 6. Characters. I'll just say characters, okay? That's fine. I mean, yeah, there are some sexy characters, okay? I'll give you that, okay? There's some very sexy characters. I'll give you that. It's that in most looter shooters are love service, but yes, I love how reactive stuff is to your race in Veilguard. Look, it's not really time travel, okay? I mean, it is. I mean, like, come on, man. It has to be time travel. What else is it? Is it literally like alternative universes stuff? If so, I hate it still. It makes sense, I promise. Okay. You're gonna have to explain it to me. Either you're gonna have to write a giant, like, long post and just essay post, and I'll read it, you know, or I'm gonna have to do it by myself. You have the choice, Zilton, okay? She breathes through her skin. Shit. Metal Gear Solid. So, Mr. Kiryu Hijima. Why is she basically naked? Well, you see, she breathes through her skin. She breathes through her skin. Mr. Hideo Kojima, why'd you make her shower in front of a bunch of dudes? Well, you see. Well, you see. Well, you see. Yeah, it makes sense. You can't do this to her, okay? She'll die. She needs to breathe through her skin. She needs as much exposure as possible, okay? Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh darn it. Yeah. It's for story. Trust me. All of these characters are romanceable. I mean, that's fair, right? I sometimes like, okay, one thing I will talk about when I make my like Warframe video, I'll say like Digital Extreme has like the most ADHD ridden fucking people in their studio, okay? Absolutely. They can't help but like import things into their games that just don't belong to their games, okay? There's so many features in Warframe that have never been completed, or that are just left there, you know, rotting, you know, because they just saw something and like, whoa, let's do that, you know. I guarantee you, a lot of the romances were due to like Baldur's Gate and BioWare. You know, they're like, we want romances in our games, and they just did that. It's like, okay. They can make invisibility clothes, but can make clothes that are like quiet to breathe through better. It makes sense, trust. Hideo Kojima. Why can't they just make clothes that allow her to breathe through her, you know, skin with clothes? Well, they can't do that. It's too advanced technologically, but invisibility isn't. It's complicated. Hideo Kojima, never fucking change, man.
This is...
Yeah, they literally made, yeah, that's, okay. I gotta complain about something, right? I think, Greedfall did this as well. But I have to complain about it because like I feel like I go mad when I see this. Greedfall, Greedfall, Asterion, voice actor. Yeah. Greedfall, game, Asterion voice section. That's not answering my question. Gosh darn it. Neil Newborn. Answer my question. Because I think Greedfall also has Neil. Literally even looks like Neil. Yeah, Neil Newborn is in Greedfall too. Yeah, and that's one thing I really dislike so much about, which like, come on, man, you're so typecast in him, you know, which like, I don't know, man. He's obviously not gonna play the same role. He's not gonna play the same character. But I'm so upset that like these people are simply taking him because I feel like it's just for marketing. You know, it feels like it's kind of the new Matt Mercer, where Matt Mercer is just in everything because it's just a marketing tool you can use. Like this character is voiced by Matt Mercer, but in this time it's Neil Newborn. You know, which just feels like to me it's you're not really using him for his talent, you're using him for his marketing potential. Not that like I think he's gonna do a poor performance, but I think that they're just having him for the marketing potential, which kind of sucks. Asterion in Warframe, yeah. Who voices Asterion in Warframe? Well, fucking fine. I'll be a Google search guy. Warframe. E-voices. This year, Neil can be seen portraying the talking Norkfish Fibonacci in digital. Okay, never mind. I accept that. He's a fucking fish. He plays as a fish. That's very funny to me. Never mind. That's actually based. You know, it's turned around. He plays as a fish. Ah, yes. Asterion fans, read him and weep. Your sexy vampire is now a fish. Okay. Never mind. My position has been absolutely demolished by that fact. But Warframe isn't that riddled with abandoned ideas, but there is a dead mode here and there, but I mean, yeah, right, but that's kind of an issue, right? Like Digital Extreme will like move from mode from like feature to feature to feature, right? Going back to a feature, making a new one, leaving it, going back to another one. And like there's just a lot of content that just feels like they should focus on more, you know? And they're just adding new stuff. And that's just kind of like the sort of company that Digital Extreme is, and also just like the kind of reality of live service games. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying like it's obviously not my preference, you know. But he plays the role well. Ben, oh, does he? Ben Starr in what? Never mind. Too. Never mind. My position is back on. I'm sorry for derent. No, it's fine. I also like Warframe as well. Like Warframe's aesthetic is just like for me what I love so much about sci-fi. Like it's such a peak sci-fi aesthetic to me, you know. It's why I'm so mad that I can't play Warframe without being like, what do you mean I have to grind for like 50 fucking million years just to do this one thing? Gosh darn it, man. Gosh darn it, man. Oh, man. It makes me want to just really, like, pay to skip the grind. Because, man, I really do like Warframe. I would really like to play it. But, man. Too much. Astarion's final transformation. The fish. Yeah, that's very true.
Are all elves spirits somehow? Am I a spirit?
Also, Zeralton, don't be bothered by derailing the conversation. I love, like, absolutely going on side tangents, you know.
To be clear, this memory only shows that the first elves originated from spirits. You three are no more spirits than anyone else conceived naturally.
Conceived naturally? Guess I'll go ask my mother.
He means sex.
The knowledge that an entire people were formed from a mass manifestation could change our entire...
Warframe team recently changed leadership, and with it changed the way they do things. All new content is miles more coherent. Oh, that's neat. That's cool to hear. Because I am I'm happy to hear that. Obviously, like Warframe could definitely change and be better. I don't know for a fact that it'll stay the same, but it's good to know that it does. It has changed.
Our understanding of magic.
If we let it out, is that the right call? Do you want bigoted humans yelling about how elves are...
Now, this is again another thing that I really like and again, it's good that they keep it in, even if it's not anyone else, but talk about like the bigotry against the elves, Like, yeah, like if you let this out, people are just going to say like, oh, so like, we're right, elves are actually naturally bad because they're actually demons, If they're all like spirits at one point, that means they could also turn into evil demons that can kill everyone. Yeah, justifies our oppression of them, right? Especially in Tevinter, where they can be like, you say, blood magic is then therefore good and fine, actually, right? Because then it changes the dynamics. I would have, again, loved to see more, like, of the sort of slavery within Tevinter. Obviously would like to see that more, but it is good that they mention it here.
Demons?
Davrin's got a...
I wish he said, would you want Shemlin dogs? But Davin isn't something, yeah. Oh man, dude. The fact that we don't hear Shemlin no more does suck,
Point. World's
Shemlin
not short
dogs.
on small-minded humans.
I don't cause any trouble. Nobody would buy it. People have bigger worries. Which are all true.
If the world learned about this and it led to attacks against elves...
Elves have enough trouble as it is down in Ferelden.
We have to tell...
I think they have more trouble than that, Harding, okay? Harding, your homeland's being destroyed by Darkspawn now. Davin is in the room with humans, so... you have like Lucanus, Emmerich, Nev, and like possibly Rook, giving them like a bit of a weird look, like Shemlin dogs. Davin, I'm sorry. It's even worse because like they can't say anything, right? They can't say anything because like it's their word, It's like, gosh darn it, we feel a bit weird and uncomfortable,
Someone, though. Strife in Ireland, at least.
It would be very funny if then Rook, Elf Rook, and then Blara Rook also then continues to like Shemlin dogs.
If I told Thea and Viago, they'd think I was sampling Viago's poison collection. No one will believe us.
Okay.
No one
keep
would
this
us.
to people we trust who have good reason to know. No shouting it from the rooftops.
Agreed. The Morn Watch has a great deal of experience keeping dangerous secrets.
So, beyond the world-shaking stuff, what else did we learn here? Solas himself was a spirit.
What kind do you think he was?
Well, his name is Elvin for pride.
Oh.
Okay.
There's something else. Not about spirits, or not all about them at least. Solas didn't want to become a person with a physical body.
Right. He only agreed after Mythal begged him.
Then that's his regret. He wishes he'd never taken physical form.
Maybe, but not...
And that's so tragic, man, That Solas, like, only took physical form because Mythal, like, asked him to. Especially when the ending comes into mind, we'll get to that when we get to that. But it's so sad to know that Solas never wanted any of this. And Solas felt like he wasn't his own person for so long. And it's just like, man, dude. Solas, my man. Like, literally, later on in the regrets, they say that, like, if only Solas said no, he would have avoided a lot of these issues, right? If he said no to the Titans, no to being a physical form, no to, like, if he said more and he did more, if he said no more often, he would have avoided a lot of these issues, but he didn't, Gosh darn it, man. It's such well written, especially on, like, it shows who Solas is. One of my biggest fears of Veilguard was we weren't going to get a lot of Solas content, because since Solas is framed as an antagonist, we can't really, like, talk to him or, like, interact with him that much, because if we do, why wouldn't Solas just kill us? Solas is, like, shown to be very practical. The only time he hasn't killed anyone was, in Trespasser, when he was explicitly not trying to kill the Inquisition, because he just wanted to let them have their final moments, be peaceful, So, like, to me, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, that's fine, that makes sense, there's a reason why Solas does. But there's no reason why Solas would let Rook live, Rook would just be an inconvenience trying to stop them. So why would he just not kill him immediately, but the way that Velgar did it, I think, is really good. It makes sure that we get to interact with Solas enough. It makes him still an antagonistic force. It keeps in line with his trickery. But it also allows for moments like this where we get to see into his deep regrets, you know, where obviously Solas is not going to talk about, like, when his girlfriend Mythal broke up with him, you know, or forced him to become a person, you know. Closed Channel says, I wonder how awkward that makes things with Lethalon, because she likes his physical form, and that's how she mostly knows him. So how does that affect how he sees himself? I think that's interesting to think about as well, because I do think like a romance with Leveling does change how Solas thinks about himself in his physical form and other physical forms, right? Because I think in the end of Trespasser, it does imply that Solas grows to love the world a lot more, but still feels like he needs to destroy it in order to restore what he knew, you know? So I think it does change him, you know? Which is cool.
Just that. Solas was scared. They built their bodies out of lyrium, and it made the ground shake.
Oh, and also, just context, I did this whole Solas regrets after finishing Harleen's like personal quest where she meets Volta, you know, and man, it does change the context a lot more.
Lyrium is the blood of the Titans.
The Titans would have felt it as an attack. They defended themselves.
The first memory we saw with Elganon seizing power, it happened at the end of a war.
A war between the Titans and the elves.
Lace, I'm so sorry.
It feels like we still don't have the full picture. But I think that's part of what Solas...
This is another reason why these regrets probably weren't supposed to be done in one sitting. Because literally after this, it's the Titans regrets, you know? We'll get to that when we get to that.
He didn't see the danger.
Except he did. He was worried. You said it yourself.
He did it for Mythal. Everything that followed, he could have prevented if he just told her no.
Yeah, man. Like if Solas literally told Mythal, like, sorry, no, I'm not being a spirit. Sorry, I'm not being a person. You know, sorry, Mythal, I'm not gonna do the Titan killing weapon. You know, I'm sorry, Mythal, I ain't doing that. You know, like so much things would have been avoided. So actually, the problem is all fucking Mythal. Mythal fucked everything up.
Then he's got a war on his
Gosh darn
conscience.
it.
Plus, whatever we find next.
Which, joking aside, right, I do think is like something you can, because like Mythal does later in the game, I think, and especially in what we're going to see now, does blame herself partially for does blame herself for what she calls Solas to do, you know, and that's just like, oh, it's so good, man. Wow, I wonder what the next mural will be. Should be interesting. Definitely is not going to be related to what, like, Harin said about the Titans and stuff. Definitely not. Aw, shit. Fuck. Team meeting.
Have you created what we need?
With this, a proper ritual will sunder every Titan from its spirit. But you must know those severed dreams will certainly be driven mad. A disembodied blight of pain and anger. It is awful what we're doing.
And the only way to end this war.
Oh. Now this is a revelation I wasn't really expecting to happen, you know. I was aware that, like, the elven gods and Titans had, like, a beef and whatnot, but man, the whole revelation that, like, no, the blight wasn't from the void, it was from the Titans' writhing bodies becoming mad and insane for the spirits being taken away from them. They are now no longer themselves. They produce the blight. The blight comes from them, which I'm like, oh, okay. Which I like a lot more. I like a lot more than the void, because it makes so many other things so much more meaningful. You know, from the whole fact that, oh, the dwarves' relationships with the Darkspawn and the, and themselves, and the dwarves' relationship between the stone and the Darkspawn are much more connected and personal, right? No longer is it just we're just fighting this because like it's orcs versus dwarves. No, it's the stone themselves, the stone itself, creating this like presence, this force of pain and anguish of losing themselves and going against their own children. It's like, oh, it's so good, man. It's so good.
Solas made the weapon that killed the Titans. No, not killed. He cut away their dreams and left them broken and mindless. He passed me in the halls of Skyhold for a year. He made polite conversation, and he knew.
One thing I think some people are a bit weird, and I don't get them why they do this, is why are you thinking Lace being aggressive is like odd? Did you not play the game? The game clearly explicitly states that, like, yeah, she's like partially a Titan now, right? Which her emotions is, and later in a conversation which we'll go through, she feels this way because she's quite literally part of the Titans now, part of this old dwarven tradition, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I don't get it, this feels like this is how someone with that, like, background reacts, especially when the revelation that Volta gives, which, and also all the information she gives are like, oh yeah, when the Titans fell asleep, right, we woke up, we were left without them. And the reason they were left wasn't because, like, they went out to get milk, whatever. It's because they were forced to, If you think about it, Lace is more of a stereotypical abomination than Lucanus is. Actually, that is true, Like, she was possessed by a spirit, and that spirit does take control of her from time to time, and makes her do, like, weird, wacky things, it influences her emotions. Yeah. Yeah, Ron, that's actually pretty interesting.
Knew what he did.
Good call. Oh, and I love the dialogue option here, which is just like, and obviously, I don't think... It's obviously for certain rooks, but I do like this option for, like, elven rooks. It's like, man, I'm sorry for what we did, that kind of fucking sucks, man. Thanks for saying that. Hey.
Lace, what my people did to yours, that's unforgivable.
You don't need to apologize.
Well, someone should.
Our leaders attacked the Titans for their lyrium. Then, when the war turned against the elves...
Also, interesting revelation with Volta as well. Because the whole, like, oh yeah, the Titans were able to change reality with lyrium. They were like masters of reality. Makes what the elves did a lot more, like, not understandable, but, like, it gives reasons to why they did it, Lyrium isn't just like this, oh, it gives you power and stuff. It allows you to, like, change reality itself, which is interesting which makes the reasons for why the elves go for it a lot more reasonable. They didn't do it because, like, oh, they were being dicks or whatever, right? It also then makes the blight very interesting, because since it's also about changing reality, it doesn't, because lyrium, like blue lyrium itself, can change reality negatively or positively, but like red lyrium has a bend to it. It's a lot more powerful, a lot more potent, but it can only be negative. It can only be destructive, because that is what it is. It's a force that is destructive and all-consuming.
Our leaders did this.
And when the war was over, they enslaved your ancestors. No. Solas, Mythal, and Elgar'nan are the ones who need to apologize.
To do such a thing. No wonder regret eats away at Solas.
No, it's worse than that. That isn't what's so...
Yo, man. Oh, you're so right, Devon. I remember when I first, like, saw the thing, I immediately picked up, yeah, this isn't Solas' regret. Solas' regret isn't, like, killing the Titans. Nah, that's not his. Right? He wouldn't fucking care about killing the Titans no matter what. Now that it's Mythal. The only thing that they care about is because they accidentally caused the Blight, the most destructive thing in all of reality. That's what they did. And I think, like, oh yeah, that's it. It's even worse, because they didn't actually care about the Titans and the dwarves and whatnot. They only cared the fact that they caused more damage with the Blight,
Regrets. Those severed dreams.
It sounded it didn't say dwarves were made tranquil. They say they took their dreams, which is equivalent by saying, yeah, that's one thing I think would have been interesting to say. Like, obviously, you're right, Close End Channel, when they say like, oh, they don't act tranquil. But I think it would have been cool to have like one of the other characters, like maybe Tosh, say like, wait, isn't this like kind of being made tranquil? And then they sort of explain why it's not like that, where they give a bit of an explanation of like, not exactly. Like, the dwarves still have emotions, but like, it does make sense that we can't dream because we don't have that link to the Titans anymore. You know?
Will be driven mad, a disembodied blight of pain and anger.
Mierda.
You can't. That's not possible.
When a warden hears the calling, it's like a song in their mind.
And also, it makes so many things click into place, right? Like, oh yeah, the calling being a song makes sense, and also Lyrium has a song to it as well. Yeah, okay, that kind of makes sense now. Okay.
Sound familiar to you, Lace?
The song of Lyrium. Of the Titans.
We think of the Blight as this monstrous force with no mercy, no compassion, evil incarnate. Instead, it's a caged animal, mistreated and imprisoned for centuries.
They don't act tranquil because it's been generations. I think the tranquil could reach the same state eventually. The rite of tranquility is fairly recent after all. I mean, yeah, right. Though I think, like, obviously if you ask the dwarf, like who was live when Titans were alive, immediately before and after, they would say they felt like they would describe tranquil as something close to what they say. Because Solas does say, like in Trespasser, that like he feels like he woke up in a world where everyone is tranquil. Is like, I don't think that's entirely wrong from his perspective, you know?
Until all it knows is fear.
Obviously, these two options on the side I love a lot more. Not really that one. Because I love the questions here, and I wish we could have just asked these as normal questions. Like, what about the Darkspawn, and can we fix the Blight? Because obviously, the way this Davin described it is like a caged animal mistreated and imprisoned for years, means like, could we not then save the Darkspawn or try to make the Blight better, right? Is there not a way to fix it, you know? Which obviously, in the ending for Veilguard, does imply that there is a way to fix it. I don't think so. I think tranquility affects dwarves differently, as if it was made naturally with what Solas did. It isn't natural with humans or elves. It is done after birth. I don't know what you mean, Closed Down Channel.
What does this mean for Darkspawn?
I also like, because obviously we as like players know the actual answer to this question, but these characters don't, and I like how the characters answer in character. But again, this would have been a really cool moment to have the architect like appear somewhere in the game, and then be able to like converse about this topic of like, oh yeah, like the Darkspawn are actually people, and we can help them actually, you know?
Should we be trying to help them?
I don't believe so. If the Blight is a corrupted dream, Darkspawn may be mindless manifestations of its anger.
Right. They're not people. We're never going to get through to them.
The Titans are a problem for later. We have Elgernon and Ghilanane to deal with now.
And then I want Solas to look me in the eye and answer for what he did.
Each of these memories has been a deeper regret, and almost all of them involve Mythal.
Only one mural left to uncover by my count. If we find it, we'll see what's worse than this.
Solas cut all the dwarves' dreams away with severing the connection to the Titans. That isn't what is done with humans or elf mages. They get their put off case by case, like individually, each level. I mean, I see what you mean now. Yeah, it does affect the dwarves differently, because the dwarves, it was affect as an entire like race, while with humans and elves it's affected like person by person, which does make sense. Yeah. Okay guys, meet up in like 5 seconds. Oh, and the last one. Now obviously, like, my expectation for like each of these regrets is obviously very like Solas focused, and the next regret makes so much sense. It's obviously not like what I think a lot of people would regret most. Like, I probably would regret creating the Blight the most, you know? Like, oh, what a dumbass, right? Though this makes sense for who Solas is, right? Solas' deepest regrets. Killing Mythol.
I knew that you would find me soon enough. You need the power of a god, the strength that I alone still carry.
The blighted Evanuris will soon break free from their prison. I must make a stronger one that can contain them.
While the prison is important, it is not the only goal you seek.
Why should I not tear down the veil and bring back immortality to all the elven people? They deserve it.
The elven people of today do not deserve to see the world they love be torn apart to salve your conscience.
I must fix what I have broken. I am sorry.
As am I, old friend.
I also like the use of Solas' theme. It doesn't go with the big bombastic end that it normally has, but it's just a quiet whimper of like, the wolf is prowling but didn't find anything, you know? It's, yeah, man. And this makes so much sense for Solas, you know? There are all these regrets, right? It's always been involving Mythol, about Mythol, or failing Mythol in some way, right? And this one is like, yeah, Solas now finally chooses his own path, and that leads him to killing Mythol. And it's just like, man, that sucks so much, man. Yo, the Inquisition uniform mural caught me off guard. Yeah, right? Like, oh, back to Solas's hobo days, you know? I like how they sort of retcon the convo that happens. I don't think it's a retcon. I think you can definitely, like, imagine this could have been a conversation that happened, like, maybe afterwards, right? Like literally, Solas, like, holds Mythol, looks into the camera, eyes glowing, you know? It could have literally just been like, so after that, the conversation happens, you know? And I like how Mythol sounds like Morgan in a way, shows that Morgan was always being pushed into being Mythol. I mean, yeah, right, yeah.
Solas killed Mythol? After all that? Is this another memory from a different time?
No. He wore that same outfit in the Inquisition. We knew Solas woke up in this world without most of his power. Now we know how he got it back.
By killing the only other god around and stealing her power.
All that epic magic and godly power. In the end, it comes down to love and murder. Same as always.
Now, I'm not necessarily, yeah. I think these are nice options as well.
So we've got all the Dreadwolf's deep, dark secrets. Anything we can use?
He's being honest about fighting the Blight. Whatever happens, he won't risk letting it back out into the world.
Agreed. But he has a plan to escape that prison, and not one we'll like.
He turned on Mythal, the one person he was actually loyal to. There's no way he won't turn on us.
He's a spirit, or was once. He might be able to possess someone, affect minds, all the things spirits do.
I also like this point, because obviously this leads Varric, right? And it's just like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, this is kind of important. It kind of sets up the whole, like, Varric reveal later, you know?
He created the veil. His very nature is tied to it. That will be a source of strength, but also a potential weakness.
Mythal has him all messed up. Anything about her or Elgernon is gonna make him angry. Sloppy.
Solas thinks he knows what's best for everyone. Anything he does, he'll do while telling himself he's the hero.
Yeah, man.
Solas has caused a lot of damage, but he's not like Elgernon, trying to wreck the world to rule it. He's trying to repair the damage he caused, and he knows he made mistakes. There might be hope for him.
You don't think he'll turn on us?
No, he's totally...
I also kind of don't like how you can't ask Solas about any of this, but it does make sense some. I mean, yeah, right. Like the only time you get to chat with him is in like those small intermittent moments, and also at the end. But the end you can't really have like a confrontation. Like, so Solas, why'd you murder all the Titans? So Solas, why'd you kill Mathol? So Solas, why are you jealous of Elganon and Bane, Mathol? So Solas, you know.
You're gonna turn on us. I mean, after that.
Whoa.
You have witnessed the protect.
I also like how the character calls Solas the Protector, you know? It really does demonstrate that dynamic. I also really wish we could have talked to the caretaker more. I also like, sorry, I keep pausing. I also like how, how Devin's like, huh? Whoa!
Its end.
Almost? How can there be more?
When the mighty fall, their echoes cross the ages. An audience is warranted. Speak with your visitor. She awaits you in the crossroads.
Oh man, dude. Oh. What an amazing, amazing set. It's just... This is this kind of stuff I was really looking forward to Veilguard and did not disappoint me at all. Like, Veilguard has so many, like, amazing moments like this, you know? Where you have this sort of, like... Where you have this sort of, like... Oh, yeah. Here's, like, a lot of lore information, well written, well delivered, well executed, all of that kind of stuff. And it just makes me craving more. And obviously, it's a bit late now, but we'll go through it later. We're going to go through the next set, which is actually talking to Morgan and Mathol herself. And I must say, it was just like one great, amazing writer, one after another, another. And I really do wonder, and this is a question I do have, and I don't know if I will ever get the answer to, like who did write the Solas Memories and Mathol fight? I want to say it's Trick Weeks, because it just feels like it's Trick Weeks, you know? Like, why wouldn't it be? Because they were the writer for, like, Solas on Veilguard, and clearly all the, on Inquisition, and clearly are going to be the writer for, and clearly are going to be the writer for, like, the lead writer for the next game, and also then, therefore, writing, like, Solas and stuff like that. Or maybe it was someone else. I don't know. But I do wonder who did it, you know? Because whoever did it did a phenomenal job, you know? A phenomenal job. But yeah, that's it. We're gonna wind out just a bit, you know? We're not gonna end the stream immediately, you know? We are just gonna wind down a bit. So, what did you guys think of it? Personally, I gotta say, I loved it. My favorite primary side quest in the series, I think. Yeah, I think so as well. You know, it's such a good side quest. You know, like from the lore revelations to it, to the dialogue, to the way the companions interact. It's just so good. You know, I think it's basically Solas's companion quest. Yeah, I agree with you. You know, it is basically Solas's companion quest, right? Where we get to learn so much about him. And we have to like go through different memories before like the disruption quest and the laboratory and stuff like that, you know. Yeah, I agree with you. Oh no. Okay. When my Wi-Fi doesn't destroy me utterly. That would suck. The regrets are very cool as ironic. As ironic as it sounds, they're very cool. I think the stream was a nice one. Yeah, no, it was really nice, you know. I always enjoy these kind of things. But yeah, I mean, I guess there's nothing really much else to, other than just like winding down a bit, you know. Next stream we're gonna go through the Mythol one. I love that one a lot. And we're also just gonna go through the dragon fight just to see Mythol come in, just like, oh yeah, Mythol's there. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. You know. And then after that, hopefully I'll finish the game soon enough. Also, Quiet is now in your search history. I mean, weren't they always, you know? Weren't they always? I'll leave that there. Because Quiet, I mean, like, they do look good, you know? As easy as it does. But yeah. Other than that, I think, we're groovy, lads. Quiet's uniform is so shameless. How dare could you save image? Save image. Oh. Yes, thank you, Kojima. You're an artist ashamed of thoughts and deeds. Hey, man, as long as it's consensual, right? See ya. No, see ya as well, Zeroton. Thank you for the time, and I think that's where I'll end it off. You know. Thanks to anyone who's watching this. You know, it's pretty cool. You know, I think so, right? And for those who are watching the VOD, mayhaps you like and subscribe and comment down below what you think about Solas Regrets. You know, I always appreciate it. And yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Enjoy.